I am beyond moved to be here at our nation's capital, knowing all of you are watching, supporting, and standing here among the presence of those we've lost. I'm here as a lawyer who represents families across Canada that seek justice and accountability as a result of abuse and neglect in long-term care homes. But I am also very personally connected to why we are here today. I have a grandmother in a long-term care home, and I have another who I lost. She was my best friend and my soulmate. Seniors have always had a special place in my life. These are the people who fought for our freedom, sought refuge in Canada after enduring war and conflict, built the foundation of our country, offer wisdom, raised us, loved us, nurtured us when we needed them. And now they need us. My clients have told me over and over that until you get thrown into the complex web of red tape and hurdles that is long-term care, you don't realize how complicated and broken it is. I came to this realization after speaking with countless families who told me horror stories about the treatment of their loved ones, and then reading investigation reports and medical records documenting that horror. The worst part, though, is hearing from my clients how guilty they feel. Guilt for putting their loved one in a home in the first place. Guilt for trusting that someone else could do for their loved one what they no longer could. And guilt for having them suffer needlessly. And that guilt never goes away. And now the pandemic has intensified and transformed this already complex web into a national emergency. One that is now familiar to every Canadian. We have all heard the horror stories of people starving to death, dying from dehydration, living in their own filth, and of course contracting COVID-19, which led to respiratory failure, pneumonia, and the death of over 8,000 people in Canada, residents of long-term care homes. When you look around you, these 2,000 pairs of shoes, that's one pair of shoes for every 4 people that have died in a long-term care home in Canada. Long-term care residents represent approximately 80% of all of COVID-19 deaths in Canada. 80%. We are here because we allowed COVID-19 to ravage long-term care homes across the country. COVID-19 undermined the safety of long-term care residents and staff alike. The system failed. The frontline workers who staff these homes are working in impossible conditions, as you've heard. They are overburdened, undertrained, and lack the necessary resources to do the job safely and in many cases meaningfully. We have seen that residents are left unfed, unbathed, unchanged, and without any meaningful human interaction. And while the country became aware of this reality as a result of the pandemic, these issues long preceded it. We heard the bell ring around the world early this year as COVID-19 was spreading. When we heard that seniors were the most impacted by this virus, I was hit with a wave of terror. I knew what was coming. And I knew that our long-term care system couldn't handle it. As a citizen, I watched helplessly, along with the rest of the nation, as the system failed miserably. And here we are in a second wave, watching it happen all over again. As a lawyer and advocate, I find this unacceptable. And this is why I'm here, with these courageous supporters, volunteers, and allies, and you watching at home, to fight for change. Despite lessons learned from the first wave, we still haven't seen any meaningful improvements that ensure the safety and dignity of our seniors. What's worse is that families have been crying out for years, decades even, about the mistreatment of their loved ones. In addition to this, staff have been asking for better compensation, better working conditions, and more government support. How can a long-term care system that was barely hanging on by a thread before this pandemic possibly get through this second wave unscathed? It can't. And people are dying because of it. Somewhere along the line as a society, we lost sight of our responsibility to seniors. Somewhere along the line, society made them disposable. This is unacceptable, unconscionable. We need a paradigm shift in this regard, a shift towards caring for our most vulnerable with the dignity, respect, and the love that they deserve. To live out their days in an environment where those who care for them are also treated with dignity and respect and provided with the resources they need to offer meaningful care. Long-term care homes are exactly that, homes. We would not accept anything less than the best care for our families in our own homes. That same standard ought to exist in our long-term care homes, and that standard should exist across Canada. That's why we're all here, to tell our federal government that we support the move to creating national standards for long-term care across Canada, and to call upon our provinces and territories to work with the federal government to ensure that those national standards are held to account. So I'm calling on all of you. Write to your MP and MPP to tell them you demand more and better care now. Second, learn about these issues by engaging with your provincial and federal health coalitions and staying current with news media, research, and policy reports. And third, share your stories and knowledge with community members, grassroots agencies, and loved ones. The time is now. We must collectively stand up for the most vulnerable. They need you. Thank you.